Widespread ground frost overnight, but not as sharp as last night. The low 1 Celsius, 34 degrees Fahrenheit. Long sunny periods later today now. Light to moderate easterly winds. Top temperature 16 Celsius, 61 degrees Fahrenheit. Thursday and Friday, dry with sunny periods. The nights will be milder because of low clouds. Sounds like motorcycling weather to me, mother.
Beacon Radio.
Okie dokie, me old culture lovers. It's the Midnight Line on Beacon and WABC, back after the bank holiday break. And what have we got for you tonight? Well, some days, as I say, I look at the paper and think that'd make a good Midnight Line. And just hold on a second. I'll call you back, Julia. Hello? Hello, call you back, Julia. How did I know it was Julia? Ha 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 ha. That's how. Okay, what we got for you? Domestic violence. Now, I was watching Brookside, because, I mean, you do 250-odd shows a year, you need 250 subjects, you know what I mean? So you tend to keep your ears and your eyes open for subjects. And I was watching Brookside, a couple of days ago, I suppose. Well, actually, it was the omnibus edition, if you must know. So I'm not actually sure which day the original went out, but it was sometime last week. And what happened was this. Sinbad, a sort of scally, almost Falstaffian character, he said, going into literary mode, but getting out of it quickly before he bored everybody with literary mode. Anyway, Sinbad's the local scallywag. And he cleans people's windows to scrape a living. You've got to scrape a living in this day and age. He went to get some window money from a relatively new family in the street, and as he knocked on the door, he could hear something going on inside. So what he did, as any self-respecting Scouser would do, was look through the window. And when he looked through the window, what he saw was the husband of the house beating up his wife. Now, I was shouting things like, "Go on, Sinbad, go on, get stuck in, son. Get stuck in, Sinbad." And he didn't. What he did was he looked upset, and then he walked away. He just walked away. And I was thinking, well, come on, Sinbad, come on, what's up with you? You should have got stuck in there. But on reflection, I started to think, well, okay, what would I have done in that situation? What would I have done? Would I have knocked on the window? Would I have coughed loudly? Or would I directly have intervened? What should you do in a situation like that? So if you were in that situation, what would you do? Would you have done as Sinbad did? And there's no disgrace in being honest and saying, look, I just don't want to get involved. Nothing to do with me. It's their problem. Somebody else's problem. There's no disgrace in saying that if you're honest about it, and that's what you would have done. Or you might think, no, I'd have intervened. There's no way I could stand by and watch that happen. Or you might have called the police, whatever. What would you have done? Would you have done what Sinbad did, which was ignore it and walk away? Or would you have got involved in some way? 754-123 in Wolverhampton, 236-235 in Shrewsbury, and we'd also like to talk to you if you've been the other side of that window. If you've either been a beaten wife, a beaten husband, or somebody who is willing to confess that you actually did some of the beating. Why? Why do people do that? What drives you to it? And if you're in a relationship where violence starts to become a part of everyday life, how do you get out of it? How do you get out of it? Or is it possible, with counselling and so forth, to get the other party to stop using the violence? 754-123 in Wolverhampton, 236-235 in Shrewsbury. And before we go to the lines, we've had some letters flooding in. First of all, Paul Hodson, he says, "Dear Ian, I phoned the show on several occasions, and on each I intend to, and then forget to, ask when you're next doing a show on regression. I'd be keen to volunteer to take part. I shall have to ask my regression department when we're doing that. Should be reasonably imminent, though, I would have thought. But I will ask. I'll ask the regression department all about that. When I first heard of it, my reaction was, what a load of rubbish. I missed the show when you were regressed, but I heard you talk of it, and I'm now totally fascinated by the thought of having existed before. Or is it the thought that I could live again? I should like to come back as a wasp. There are a few people I'd like to sting on the And it ends there. Paul Hodson. Okay. We'll file that and R for regression. Regression? God, I sound like Jonathan Ross. Who else? Oh, a postcard from the Holy Mosque and the Holy Kebab or something. Dear Ian, how about having a world map for all the culture lovers who are in exile, on holiday or on the run from the authorities? I'm in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia until 20th of May. I'm not on holiday. Come to think of it, I'm not on the run either. What am I doing here? And that's from Mac. P.S. It's happening again. P.S. Is Kenneth still a plank? Yes, he is. Good morning, Saudi Arabia. Another postcard from Seattle in Washington. And it's from Kim. Now, Kim had a sex change operation. Because he was a she. No, wait a minute. She was a he, and now he's a she, and it's all very complicated. And she sends her best wishes to everybody who listens to the Midnight Line on Beacon and WABC. Okay, here's a saucy one. It says, Dear Ian, I was going to write you a nice letter because you're loved so much. I thought only my mother could love me. But I can't think what to write. Help. P.S. I just realised I forgot to put my name on this letter, so you won't know who it's from. This kiss, and there's a kiss right there. This kiss, where was it? Oh yes, I was just getting so excited about the fact there was a kiss there. This kiss is for you, but don't tell my husband. Hey, it's our secret. Don't worry about it. Our secret. Okay, if you want to drop me a line, and maybe you want to send me a kiss, I don't mind. Then 267 Techno Road in Wolverhampton, 28 Castle Street in Shrewsbury. Before we go to the lines, we're going to speak to Julia in a moment. Have I managed it? Have I managed 4 days without a cigarette? And the answer is yes, I have. Yeah, I came very, very close, if I'm honest about it. I had a terrible craving for a cigarette, but I talked myself out of it. And about half an hour later, the craving had gone. So this is day 5 of Perry Gives Up Smoking with the Patches. Say hello, Patch. There we go. Okay, Midnight Line on Beacon and WABC. We're talking about domestic violence. We want to hear from you if you have been the victim of domestic violence. We also want to hear from you to ask, what would you have done if you'd have been in a fictional soap opera character situation where he witnessed somebody being beaten up by her husband, and what he did was elected not to get involved. He reckoned it was none of his business. So what he did was he just walked away. Would you have walked away, or would you get involved? What would you do? First of all, we got Julia. Morning, Julia.
Hi.
Good morning.
Hi.
What would you have done if you'd have been Sinbad?
I'd have phoned the police.
Phone the police?
Mm-hmm.
Is it your business to phone the police?
Yes.
Why? But wouldn't the police just simply class it as a domestic?
Well, yes, it is a domestic, isn't it?
But don't they tend not to want to get involved on domestics?
Well, whether or not they want to get involved is immaterial, really. The fact is that there's a crime being committed, and if it was being committed in the street, it would be actual bodily harm.
Then, why do so few of these? Why do so few of these end up in court?
Normally because the husband says, "Oh, sorry, darling," and the wife says, "Oh, okay, fair enough, never mind, let's try again, I still love you," and all that goes with it.
Right, would it be better if the police took a harder line then?
Yes.
But then you got the problem of getting the wife to testify against her husband, and I don't believe she can do that, can she?
This one is.
You are?
Oh, yeah.
As a wife?
Yes.
What situation are you in at the moment?
No.
I know, but there's people who don't.
Oh, right, okay. My husband, on 8 occasions in a 6-year marriage, beat me.
8 occasions?
On 8 occasions in a 6-year marriage, beat me quite severely. The last one being on the 6th of March. He practically left me for dead. He also, at one stage, went OTT on my 5-year-old son.
Why did you put up with 8 occasions?
Because I loved him, and because he kept promising that it wouldn't happen again, and because he kept saying, I do still love you, it's just something I have to sort out within myself and I need your help to do it.
If somebody gave you a rock, right,
Yeah.
and said, walk up to the end of that cliff
Mhm.
and drop the rock,
Yeah.
right, and it disappeared right the way down the cliff,
Mhm.
and then you came back and they gave you another rock and said, do it again because this time it won't happen. Well, you wouldn't believe them, would you?
No.
So why did you believe somebody when they said they would not beat you up again?
It's very difficult. When you love someone, you tend to be blind to their faults and you tend to want to believe them, and the wanting to believe them is sometimes stronger than the wanting not to.
Inside, you're hoping it's going to be true.
That's right.
And it takes 8 attacks to destroy that hope. It's that hope's that strong, is it?
Yes, it is. I think the main reason I left him in the end was because he was stone cold sober, which I think is worse. When a man is drunk, although it's no excuse, tempers can be quite short. I mean, you get punchy drink and you get happy drink, don't you?
Yeah, you get malicious drunks and happy drunks.
Right.
Yeah.
So when a man is drunk and he hits his wife, I don't really class that to be as bad because I don't feel that a man is in full control of his feelings and his thoughts, etc. I mean, we all know what drink can do to us. But when a man is stone cold
Yes, a number
sober,
of women I've apologised to. Sorry, dear, must be the lager.
What's your name? No. When a man is stone cold sober and he hits his wife and, as in my case, became unconscious, fine. I mean, I fell to the ground and I was unconscious, but to carry on and kick me numerous times in the head and body and legs in front of a 5-year-old, as far as I'm concerned, he is not a man in control and he's lost it, and there is no hope then.
Suppose Sinbad had been at your window,
Yeah.
and instead of walking away,
Yeah.
he'd called the police.
Yeah.
What would you have expected them to do?
Take Brian away.
Even on the first occasion, second occasion, third occasion?
Yeah.
To take him away and what?
I suppose on the first 7 occasions, I suppose. Well, just until he'd calmed down. But in some cases...
Is that the police's job, though? I mean, they're not marriage guidance counsellors, are they?
It's not marriage guidance, it's crime.
But then if it's going to be a crime, if suppose Sinbad had been there on the second occasion it had happened for the sake of argument, and he'd called the police,
If a man breaks into your house-
hold on a minute, the police had turned up, right?
Yeah.
Taken your husband away on the second occasion and charged him. You wouldn't have been happy, would you?
No, but the decision would then have been done for me, wouldn't it?
Do you think you would have agreed with that decision?
Probably.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, I think there is an argument that says that what would have happened is
There is
that...
an argument. There is, because a lot of women won't leave their husbands, like I said before, because they love them. But you can only take so much.
So then, if you can only take so much, it's a bit difficult, isn't it, for the police to know when you've taken enough, and that then they can proceed in charges without you refusing to give evidence at a later date?
A lot of women normally change their minds because they're scared of being alone, repercussions once the husband is released or let off on bail or whatever, you know.
Were you scared of repercussions? Is that why you didn't?
No, I was scared of being alone. He had brainwashed me into believing that I could not function without him. He brainwashed me into believing that he was my pillar, and without him I was nothing, and would never amount to anything as long as I had I can't say that, can I?
So he underlined your self-esteem? I mean, undermined your self-esteem?
Yes, I mean, they totally take away your self-esteem, they take away your self-confidence, they take away every little bit of self-respect, dignity, pride. It's your fault. You made him do it. You goaded him into it, pushed him until he couldn't take any more. It's all the person who is being victimized. It is their fault. The person who is doing the victimizing pushes all the responsibility onto the victim.
Why did he hit you the first time?
Because he was drunk. And I shouted at him because he let the dog into all the rooms in the house and it had molted onto the floors. I told him, the least he could have done was to shut the doors.
And he hit you?
And he hit me.
Well, that sounds trivial enough to start with. Did it get even more trivial as it went along?
Well, no. A lot of it towards the end was because he was having an affair with my boss, my matron. And
was a nice bloke, your boss, is he?
She.
Oh, I see, sorry.
No, he couldn't cope with the guilt.
And so he took it out on you?
He took it out on me, and he took it out on the 5-year-old, yeah.
Okay, 8 beatings is enough by anybody's standards. What made you decide the 8th was the last, that was enough?
He dislocated my jaw. And then afterwards, he told me that it was my fault. I brought in the orderly officer because my husband's in the Royal Air Force. I brought in the orderly officer, and I also contacted the Royal Air Force Police.
Oh, you got the snowdrops on the job, did you?
Yes, I did.
Well, they're not marriage guidance counsellors either, though, to be fair.
We were past marriage guidance counselling.
Right, so now you wanted him taking away and locking up?
I wanted him sorting. Yeah.
Why did it take you the 8? Because he dislocated your jaw?
No, basically, I think the biggest factor in it all was the fact that he had done this in front of my 5-year-old son and in front of my 20-month-old son. My son was screaming that I was dead. He honestly thought Daddy had killed me. My son is now under a child psychologist. I've got social workers. And I thought, no, he's not doing this to us anymore. My son was wetting the bed. He was having nightmares. He still is, but...
So he's traumatised?
Oh, God, yes.
What, if you had some advice for maybe a bloke, it could be a bloke, or a woman who's going through the same as you went through and they're listening now, what would you say to them?
What would I say to them? Well, what I would say is get out. Get out, because it doesn't matter how lonely you are, how much you miss that person, you are worth more. You are not worth the degrading insults that they throw at you, physically and verbally.
So get out and start your own life.
Get out and start your own life. Now, I was agoraphobic for 5 months.
Would you have been happier if you'd have done it 12 months before you actually did it?
Yes, I would not have gone through what I've gone through. Because of his abuse, I did become agoraphobic. I couldn't get out of the living room some days, let alone out of the house. And that is basically what made me carry on, even though I knew he was having an affair with Colette.
Oh, we're naming names.
Oh, we're naming names. Well, they live in South Wales, so,
Ooh, is she?
She's actually a special constable.
Well, it wouldn't have been much good calling the police then, would it? She'd have turned up.
Oh, she couldn't shoot well. Yeah, I suppose she could. She was on duty.
So, anybody, you reckon people should intervene if they see that going on?
Well, yes. I mean...
How would you have felt if somebody had intervened, though? Wouldn't you have said, well, it's none of your business?
Well, no, I was unconscious. I didn't have anything to say.
Yeah, on the 8th occasion.
Yeah, how would I have felt? Well, what I would do is put yourself in the person looking through the window. Put yourself in the person that's on the floor being kicked. Put yourself in their situation, in their position. How would you feel if somebody was watching you being beaten to a pulp and did nothing?
So Sinbad should be thoroughly ashamed of himself.
Oh, Sinbad should be strung up.
Oh, I like Sinbad.
Well, so do I, but I mean, he's a bit of a yellowback, isn't he?
A yellow belly.
A yellowback.
God knows there's enough of it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you'd intervene.
Yeah.
It happened to you. It took you 8 beatings because you thought it's going to get better. It never did. It was pushed too far. You left. Your advice is, if it's happening to you, get out because it ain't going to get better.
Yeah. And if you want to talk to me, phone Beacon and you can give them my number. We're going to start a counselling line.
Okie dokie. When are you starting that?
Well, my cousin's moving up here. I told you about that the other day, didn't I? We were doing lunch.
Yes, loves.
We didn't go riding. We did lunch.
How lovely.
And we've decided to, well, we're planning our future now.
Okay, well, we'll wish you luck with that.
Well, let's hope it works. We've done a lot of talking today, but yes, at the moment, I'm just sort of like, I take calls on this phone, but we're hoping to get a couple of extra lines in and actually start for counselling, because my husband deals... my cousin deals with, as he puts it, dodgy kids. Kids that have been through very traumatic times and abusing time. You know what I mean?
Okay, well, look, when you're up and running, give
Yeah.
us a call on a free-for-all and you can tell everybody about the service you offer.
Right.
Okay. Listen,
Okay.
thanks for talking to us.
No problem.
We'll speak to you again.
Okay, then. Take care, Ian.
Bye.
Bye.
754-123 in Wolverhampton, 236-235 in Shrewsbury. It's the Midnight Line on Beacon and WABC. We're talking about domestic violence, and we want to hear from you. If you've been the victim of domestic violence. I spoke to Julia. Julia said she was beaten up 8 times. 8 times! And it was only on the 8th time that she'd had enough, and she no longer believed that it would finally get better. So, have you been in that situation? If you have, we'd like to hear from you. We'd also like to hear from you if you haven't been in that situation, but ask you the question, what would you do if you're looking through a window and you saw a husband beating his wife up, or the wife beating the husband up? Would you intervene? Would you call the police? Is it the police's responsibility, or is it the individual's responsibility to extricate themselves from that relationship? If you're looking through the window, Julia said, phone the police, get stuck in, do something. Put yourself in the position of the person who is on the ground. Well, what would you do if you were looking through the window and you saw somebody being beaten up in a domestic quarrel? 754-123 in Wolverhampton, 236-235 in Shrewsbury. Next on the lines we've got Dave. Good morning, Dave.
Morning, how you doing, alright?
I'm doing well. What would you have done?
Oh, me, if I was been the window cleaner, if I'd been Sinbad and seen him beating his wife up while I was watching through the window.
Yeah.
Well, I probably would have intervened if he'd gone too far, like, you know.
What's too far?
You know, kicking the stomach and the legs, you know, and eating and all that, like, you know.
So it's okay just to slap him round the face a bit?
Well, basically, if we don't hurt it, yeah, but if we'd made it more punishment and hurt it severely, obviously I'd have intervened and say, come on, hey, you know, that's not good. If you get killed your wife, you must kill the kids as well.
So a few slaps around the face, that isn't domestic violence?
Not really, no. Not really, no. Well, it's not really, no. Well, no. A punch, yeah. That could do damage, couldn't it, really, you know what I
Somebody
mean?
slapped me around the face, I consider that a violent act.
You would?
You're damn right I would.
Well, I suppose you would, yeah, but you know, I mean, if you slapped her and all, that's different. But you got to be careful. You got to be cautious enough. If you intervene, like, you know, and you say, so stop it. Next thing, and it goes back to him. You still kick around next day. You know, I've seen it before. I've seen it happen about 10 years ago. Like, we've seen this woman kicked in the straight right by a railway station. She was kicking over, and you know, I was there on this postcard. She do it again. We'll get a good audience. Oh, you know, and all that. Next thing, there was like arm in arms together. You know what I mean, like?
So you've got to watch when you intervene?
Yeah, you got to be very, very careful here, because it's a $1 million question, because what is you're getting yourself involved. And
because they may still love one another and they may still want to resolve it.
that's it, so
And then they start taking it out on you for intervening.
that's what you're most taken off, and you never know, there's some...
Is there ever a situation, Dave, that you believe that it is, that the woman asks for it?
Well, they're written sometimes, don't they? You know, they're written, you know, sometimes ask for it, sometimes, you know, what people say, but it's a really hard question to ask that, but sometimes they don't. Sometimes the husband goes too far, they have a bad day, or the baby screams, or when they take out their wife and she's protecting the kid from hitting the kid, and he turns instead. I mean, women will do that. Obviously, you know what I mean, I'll protect the kid.
Do you believe that women deliberately wind blokes up?
Sometimes they do, yeah. Well, not all the time. Well, I suppose, I don't know, I wouldn't say... Sometimes I do, yeah, but not all the time. Basically, what it brought down to, just like silly things, like, you know, like might drop something on the floor, or might open the door, or might turn the telly off, or say something, and all of a sudden he's ratted in a bad mood, or she's in a bad mood, or whatever, and vice versa, and all of a sudden the whole argument starts, and something, you know, we wouldn't think of saying anything like, you know what I mean? But I feel sorry for the women today, though. Some of them do, because what you got to look at, violence has become more and more in the upcoming now, in the house violence, in the couples today with the kids, and I think they've got no time for them today. So what is it? You get people married, right, in 2 years, and they miss going out and all, they miss going to friends, and that's when this trouble starts in.
Is it, do you believe, getting more and more common, or is it a case that people are more willing to talk about it now than they were?
No, not many people willing to talk about it now these days. Years ago, like, you used to, like, you know, like, sort it out, but now they're too fond to, you know, open the mouth, or, you know, cause more trouble, because what it is, if they get the husband done, he comes out, they're frightened, they might get repercussions, and vice versa. So then she might move to a fabulous stuff finder. Do you know what I mean, like? It's coming out now, in 1993 now, violence has become 75% 75% worse than it was in 1980 or 75. You know, because I read the papers and I've seen it myself, and I mean, what you got to look at is that when a woman gets angry and the husband, you know, just sitting there and he's battered, and the husband's like, you know, ignores all the time, he'd probably go on and all of a sudden he'd probably smack us her face. She'd probably be crying, I'm sorry, and that's it, like, that's nothing, you know, but with a couple of violence... That's nothing? That's just in the run of the marriage, is it? That's it, yeah. That's right, yeah. Basically, yeah, but, you know, if he goes too far, you know, hurt and all that, I suppose, she can get an injunction against him, I'll just stop him coming, but, you know, that makes no threats. The best way the woman can get out of it is right, is like, what they say, well, because women are very clever at this, they, like, tend to have more emotion than the bloke. They tend to, like, you know, it's like a word, it's like, if a woman getting in it, you say stop, she can't take no more, she might kill him or do something stupid, stop it, or run at the house outside, please help me, my husband's hitting me. And all of a sudden the old house, everybody's out the side, the neighbours, what's going on. And some people don't want to know. I've seen it myself, so it's just a couple of routine arguments, that's it. You know what I mean, basically. But in a domestic situation, isn't it down to the woman, if she's being beaten, just to get herself out of it? Say it again? Isn't it down to the woman to get herself out of it? I mean, you can understand why people are reluctant to intervene. Yeah. Well, it is, yeah, in a way. It could be, yeah. You could be right there, and yeah, I agree with you. I suppose you could be right there, yeah. Listen, I'm going to have to move on, Dave, but thanks for your points. Dave says that within a relationship, a slap's nothing. That should just be taken as part of the relationship. And he would intervene only if it was getting out of hand. 754-123 in Wolverhampton, 236-235 in Shrewsbury. It's the Midnight Line on Beacon and WABC. We're talking about domestic violence. We'd like to hear from you if you've been the victim of domestic violence. We'd also like to hear from you to give us your opinion on whether or not you would intervene if you saw an incident of domestic violence happening before your very eyes. Would you intervene? Or do you think, a little bit dodgy that, because as soon as you start intervening, basically this couple, they're married to each other, they probably love each other, they're having a squabble. As soon as I intervene, they're just going to turn on me. Do you call the police? What do you do? 754-123 in Wolverhampton, 236-235 in Shrewsbury. It's the Midnight Line on Beacon and WABC, and we'll be back to the lines after this rather amusing commercial break.
Can't afford a holiday this year? Then come to Holiday Club Pontins. During June, 2 adults can enjoy a 7-night self-catering holiday for just £69 per person, with children under 16 going free. There's plenty of entertainment laid on, including the Crocodile Club for the kids. And you can choose from any one of 8 holiday sites around the country. So come on and treat yourself and the family to a 7-night holiday for just £69 per adult in June. And remember, kids go free. At these prices, places are going fast. For details and bookings, call Holiday Club Pontins now on 0772 621 621 and tell them you heard it on Beacon.
Coming soon to Fox's Nightclub, the Sunday Sport Roadshow, April the 16th, Positive Gang on the 17th, the Sony Music Search with 1FM on the 24th, Sybil on the 26th of April, Climax Mail Review on the 30th, Magnum on the 4th of May, and Vanessa Warwick on the 5th of May. Tickets available on the night or call Sonia on Wolverhampton 4545. Fox's, where the nights are hotter.
Deirdre Glibbins graduated from college with a degree, but she really wanted to be an actress. She enrolled in drama school and applied for a career development loan. This helped her pay for her training, and she didn't have to pay anything back until 3 months after she finished. And how's she doing now? I'm Deirdre Glibbins, available for voiceovers, pantomimes, commercials...
Seriously, come up with a realistic training idea and we could help. You can borrow between £200 and £5,000 for almost any kind of job-related training course. Written quotations of terms and conditions are available from Barclays, the Cooperative and Clydesdale banks. For a booklet, call free on 0800 585 505 9am to 9pm Monday to Friday. Take a big step towards training with a career development loan.
Beacon Radio.
Midnight Line on Beacon and WABC, 754-123 in Wolverhampton, 236-235 in Shrewsbury. Next on the lines, we're talking about domestic violence this morning. Next on the lines, it's Nick. Morning, Nick.
Good morning, Ian.
Good morning. Yeah, well, gorning if you want. Yes, good gorning.
Right, it's a weird coincidence, this. Let's give you some background. About 18 months ago, I got a couple of friends who work part-time in a pub, and one of the girls that work there. She was 14 and a half. And I was talking one day and she broke down in tears. Her brother was dying of leukemia. And she wasn't getting on with her parents. And I thought, you know, a little bit, you know, you give her a shoulder to cry on. All above board, before anybody thinks anything devious. I thought, yeah, you know, it could be just a bit of a highly strung 14-year-old as well. So I just left it at that. This Sunday, I gave her a lift home, and she was saying in the car how her stepfather, her father died when she was 3, I think. Her stepfather beats upon her mum on a regular basis. Her mum has now gave him, I think she said, about 4 weeks to sort himself out. So, you know, one thing and another, something's got to be done. If that situation was for me, I would probably do something. Either bang on the window. Being only about 5'6", I probably wouldn't take that much action myself.
Well, you could always go and get an orange box before you've banged on the window, couldn't you?
Yeah, or jump up.
Yes.
I'd call the police. I have called the police, yeah, on a Saturday night, driving through the main street of Atherstone. It is quite a regular occurrence, unfortunately, to see couples falling out. So yeah, I've called the police off the mobile telephone.
What do you think the police feel when they get a call like that? Oh no, not another.
Probably as much as they can. As much as they can. They are a little bit limited, aren't they?
Well, surely, I mean, unless somebody's being half killed, I mean, there is no point calling the police if the two people concerned are going to kiss and make up the next day and have another go at it.
That's right. I mean, I really do feel sorry for Julia. One of the things she said is when you're in love with someone, you do tend to forget a lot of the things, don't you?
Yeah, it's called rose-coloured spectacles, isn't it?
Yeah, you know, you really very rarely see the dark side of a person when you really truly love them. However, I'm really glad for Julia's sake and her son's that she's made the break, because as Julia said, the worst thing in the world is how someone knocked the 7 bells out of you. Fortunately, I've never really been in that situation. Oh, I never would be in that situation. So help me God. I couldn't do it, personally. I hope to God I couldn't.
Oh, my first wife chased me with an axe.
Oh dear. That's a bit of a problem, that.
That's what I thought.
Are you a good runner?
Well, no, I was actually in a room at the time, and I was sat with my back to the door to stop her getting in. And the next thing, this axe came through the door.
Oh, God.
It's very strange.
In Sinbad's case, I think I would have done something. Maybe not intervened directly, but at least got the police there. It's sort of saying, all right, you might not call the police, but someone has. Now do you want to take the action? All right, it's that sort of little nudge. Do you know what I mean? It might be the nudge to where she...
Do you think that people once one individual has hit another individual within a relationship, is that it? I mean, can you ever get it back after that?
Yes. I wouldn't have thought, though, it's totally not plausible for it to happen again, if you know what I mean. Sorry about that. I think that someone who beats upon a person once is quite capable of beating upon them several times, and more. So
on that basis, isn't it, once it's happened, have you just got to forget everything and get the hell out of it?
I wouldn't have thought, no. I would just be a little bit more wary of the person. They certainly need counselling. Whether it's a drink problem or not, I don't think drink, Julie said it's a little bit more excusable. Or maybe I've got that bit wrong.
No, I think she said that, or what she meant was that people act differently when they're under the influence of drinks.
Yes, they do.
Some people are incredibly happy, some people get violent.
Yeah, I very rarely drink. The last time was about 3 weeks ago. It was a little bit of a celebration. It was champagne. I got very happy. A friend of mine gets really violent. I refuse to go down a pub with him. Because when I go down a pub, 9 times out of 10 I'm driving. I just want, I'll go out to enjoy myself, not to get involved in arguments. But no violence is excusable, not for no reason.
Okie doke. But you believe you can talk it out, though?
I think you can, to a certain extent, yes.
Okie doke, thanks for that, Nick.
Thank you.
Speak to you soon.
Bye.
Ta-ra. On this line here, we got Paul. Morning, Paul.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
My partner, we're not married. Before I met her.
Living in sin, he is. Living in sin.
Yes, we are. Yes. Over the brush. Or is it under the brush?
I can never remember. I sort of alternate them. Like 1 week it's over, the next it's under. Just I get it right 50% of the time.
Yeah. And then over the brush is better because you can sweep up at the same time.
Very good.
But apart from that, my partner was a victim before I met her of male violence. Well, not so much the violence itself, although that did play a part, but the threat of violence was just as real. He used to come along and have a social money offer and stand over her with a garden shovel until she coughed it up.
So he operated like a gangster?
Yeah, undoubtedly.
I mean, that's different from just purely emotional violence, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
I mean, that's pre-planned intimidation.
Yeah, that's right. He knew he would get his own way if he threatened her. And the one time that he did use violence was because she had the cheek to fight back.
So he only actually used violence once, but he used intimidation heaps of times.
Well, I don't know whether he only used it once, but the majority of it was the threat of violence.
Why did she stay within the relationship?
Well, she wasn't actually in the relationship for a while at the time, but he was coming round to the house doing it. And he'd used the excuse for the kids, going round to see the kids, and obviously it was just to get what he wanted, not just money either.
What are we talking about, sex?
Yeah. And obviously she had no choice really but to, agree, if you can call it such.
Why didn't she call the police?
Because she doesn't really believe that it would have stopped him. He might have gone down for a few months, but he'd have been back again. It is the type who would have been back again, without a shadow of a doubt.
And she doesn't believe that then he would have been sent down again?
It's a matter of catching them as well, isn't it?
It's
Scotland, Manchester, London, he'd just disappear for a while.
It's a matter of accumulating enough evidence, I would have thought.
I think the evidence would be there, but you've also got the problem that it's the kid's father and, things like that. It's nothing easy. The problem is there's not enough backup services for them. I mean, there's things like the Haven projects, but really one Haven project in the town the size of Wolverhampton is, I was going to say something else, but I'll say a drop in the ocean.
Yes, it's not huge, is it?
No, it isn't.
It's not huge. And also you're talking about a situation that a lot of I hate competing with British Rail, I really do. That one's 15 minutes late. It's
time already.
it's also a situation that a lot of people are actually reluctant to admit exists.
That's right, yeah. A throw-off, I think, from the 1970s, when, because there was less of it about, those that did suffer it were not exactly ignored, but people wouldn't accept that it existed. And it's very much a throw-off from that even though it's more often now, society's ashamed to admit that men behave in such a way, because society is run by men anyway.
And so we just want to cover that up.
I wouldn't say all of us, but certainly a large percentage of us, yeah.
Generally, I mean, I think there was a book, wasn't it? Don't Scream Dear, the Neighbours Will Hear You.
That's right.
Which sums it up.
Yeah.
How did this finally stop then?
I had about 15 pints of beer, Dutch Courage I think it's called, and he'd moved his clothes back into the house. He was going to move back in because the woman he was living with kicked him out. What for, I don't know, but it doesn't take much of an imagination to work it out. And I sort of went round there and ejected him from the house. Now he's sort of twice the size of me. And he come up at me with the same garden shovel. And to make matters worse, as if it could be any worse, I promised the kids I wouldn't hit him. A bit like getting into the ring with Mike Tyson with my arms tied behind my back.
Or just getting into the ring with Mike Tyson, really.
Yeah. But actually, I found out that, when he hadn't really got a clue when it come to striking me. And we was more sort of wrestling than fighting. I mean, not a punch landed anywhere. And I think he was as glad to see the police there as I was. I was never so glad to see the police in all my life.
What did the police say to you?
They asked if, Beryl and the kids had got out before I confronted him and went round to a mate's. And the police merely said, well, obviously he's got no business being there because his name's no longer on the rent card. But for the one night, he says he's got nowhere to go, so can he stop there and you stop with your mate?
So they looked for a compromise? And
yeah.
In the morning, what, he just went?
In the morning he went, yeah.
So from that, you can infer that the guy's got a little, or rather a large, yellow streak?
I would suggest so, yeah.
Well, he's alright when it comes to hitting women?
Yeah.
But put him up against the bloke half his size?
He hasn't got a clue.
And then you haven't seen him since?
Well, when we moved to this area of Wolverhampton, he did start coming round causing trouble, but I just got the police onto him. I didn't really want to bother with him again, so I just found the police. And they come round and he stood there at the police and he says, I've got more right in this house than him, he says, because they're my kids. And the cop says to him, it's so funny, the cop says, whose name's on the rent card? And I says, mine and Beryl's were joint tenants. Oh, I shouldn't have said his name then, but still. And the cop says, you've got no right in this house, get out. And they ejected him from the property. And apart from one other time when he come round with a mate, 2 times he come round with a mate, but his mates didn't seem to want to get involved, so, the confrontation was limited.
Sounds like a real hard man to me. Not. Okay, well listen, thanks for telling us about that.
Can I give a quick mention to our demo at the Monkey House tomorrow, the Parents Action Group?
Yeah, go on.
We're meeting at 5:30 and we're we're demonstrating to the councillors about the school uniform grants, and there'll be the press hopefully will be there, and your suggestion that we go in school uniform was accepted.
Oh, hey, I'm going to be there. Hey?
You're going to be there, yeah?
Oh,
welcome. Right. You're more than welcome.
What time is it?
5:30 we're starting, but the meeting won't start till 6:30, and the resolutions will start which is because it's a Labour resolution that's being discussed.
No, I can't discuss politics at the moment because of the council elections, so I can't say who's responsible for what, but I can say that you are gathering where?
At the Monkey House, Civic Centre, Wolverhampton.
I'll have a tootle up on my motorbike.
Oh, yeah, good idea.
Oh, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? Black leather and school uniforms. What a demonstration. For a rather large-looking Triumph motorcycle, and that'll be me.
Oh, I see.
All right, mate.
Then. Okay.
All right. Ta-ra.
Take care.
Ta-ra. 754-123 in Wolverhampton, 236-235 in Shrewsbury. We're talking about any involvement or any experience you may have had in domestic violence. And we're also asking the question, if you were Sinbad in Brookside, Sinbad looked through the window and saw some domestic violence occurring, he walked away, what would you have done? What can you do? 754-123 in Wolverhampton, 236-235 in Shrewsbury, and we'll be back after this cheeky little ad break with a fruity bouquet.
Can't afford a holiday this year? Then come to Holiday Club Pontins. During June, 2 adults can enjoy a 7-night self-catering holiday for just £69 per person, with children under 16 going free. There's plenty of entertainment laid on, including the Crocodile Club for the kids. And you can choose from any one of 8 holiday sites around the country. So come on and treat yourself and the family to a 7-night holiday for just £69 per adult in June. And remember, kids go free. At these prices, places are going fast. For details and bookings, call Holiday Club Pontins now on 0772 621 621 and tell them you heard it on Beacon.
Coming soon to Fox's Nightclub, the Sunday Sport Roadshow, April the 16th, Positive Gang on the 17th, the Sony Music Search with 1FM on the 24th, Civil on the 26th of April, Climax Mail Review on the 30th, Magnum on the 4th of May, and Vanessa Warwick on the 5th of May. Tickets available on the night or call Sonia on Wolverhampton 4545. Foxes, where the nights are hotter.
Deirdre Glivens graduated from college with a degree, but she really wanted to be an actress. She enrolled in drama school and applied for a career development loan. This helped her pay for her training, and she didn't have to pay anything back until 3 months after she finished. And how's she doing now? I'm Deirdre Glivens, available for voiceovers, pantomimes, commercials...
Seriously, come up with a realistic training idea and we could help. You can borrow between £200 and £5,000 for almost any kind of job-related training course. Written quotations of terms and conditions are available from Barclays, the Cooperative and Clydesdale banks. For a booklet, call free on 0800 585 505, 9am to 9pm, Monday to Friday. Take a big step towards training with a career development loan.
Beacon Radio.
Midnight Line, doesn't half help if I put my microphone on before I speak, that way you can help me. Actually, maybe this show sounded a lot better if I just kept my microphone off. Maybe not. 754-123 in Wolverhampton, 236-235 in Shrewsbury. It's the Midnight Line on Beacon and WABC. We're talking about domestic violence, and we're asking you to give us a call if you've been involved in domestic violence, or you saw Brookside and you saw Sinbad watching domestic violence and doing nothing about it. What would you do about it? We've got Sarah on this line, have we? Yeah, okay, we'll put you on hold a second. Because first of all, here he comes with the most famous catchphrase in the West Midlands and Shropshire. And it's been a whole 3 days since you've heard it, and you're probably suffering withdrawal symptoms. I know I'm not. I mean, I am. It's Eric. Good morning, Eric. Actually, I'm suffering withdrawal symptoms. Give me patch a slap. I worked out. Yeah, here it comes. I worked out if you hit the patch, it gives you... Not that you should hit patches because it's very naughty, but it releases more nicotine into your body. Hey, hey. Here it comes. Extended 18-inch mix. Good morning, Eric. No, too optimistic. Said it too soon. Try it again. Good morning, Eric.
Good morning, Ian.
Worked a second time. Domestic violence, Eric.
Yeah, well, put it this way, there's not enough protection for the women. There's no need for any man, I don't care what a woman is, what she's made of, but there's no need for a man to knock 7 colours out of a woman.
But they do it.
They do it, and that's the trouble, there's not enough protection for them.
What can you do, though?
You look, take for instance the one you're talking about now in Brookside.
Sinbad.
Yeah, yeah, whichever you like. You see that daughter? That daughter has warned her mother and asked her mother. You see, she doesn't want him there. She's done everything she can do to persuade her mother not to get rid of him. Now, for the one instance where he went and got that drink, her giving him the money to get it, she knew what he was like in drink. And when it was reported by Peter Harris of the police report, they turned up, and then he said to her, Tell them to mind their own business. And get rid of them. Tell them you're all right. Well, she just did that, she told the policewoman, when the policewoman said, have you any bruises or anything to show us? No, she said, I haven't. So I'm all right. So, what can you do in a case like that? And so never they'd gone. He brutally thrashed her again. Then he went upstairs and he got in bed with his daughter, Rachel. But what was she thinking of? I mean, all this you see in Brookside, Ian, is bringing back memories to mothers that have gone through that.
Should they be showing it?
No, I don't agree with it, because mothers that have gone through that, it's bringing them back into their minds of what they've gone through. You see?
Does it not achieve anything?
It doesn't achieve anything.
Is it not going to make somebody who maybe doesn't feel that there is any support for them, somebody who is undergoing a situation like that, is it not going to make them think, hey, I'm not alone, I can do something about it?
Yes, you can do something about it, definitely you can. But not if they're in the same mind as that woman in Brookside is when the police turn up. No, I'm all right. Have you any bruises? No. Well, Sinbad went. He saw what happened. He saw the bruises. He saw the terrible state as that woman was in. And it was him he should have turned around and he should have rung the police up and have gone as a witness to it.
He should have intervened.
He should more or less have gone with the police and have said, look, that woman is lying. I have seen the bruises. I've heard it.
But we talked to Julia before, and Julia said, well, the first few times it happened, I believed it wouldn't happen again, and I presumed that in a situation like that you wouldn't thank somebody for intervening, because you would hope at that point that you could sort it out between yourselves.
Maybe they wouldn't. Maybe there is some in that attitude that wouldn't thank. I wonder if Julie would have thanked anybody if she had gone through the same, like she said she has. She's been kicked about the floor. She's been battered. Wouldn't she have been grateful for somebody to have turned around and have stepped in and intervened?
Well, she said she would at the 8th time, but how, if you're somebody who's going to do the intervention, how do you know when is the right time to go and intervene?
Well,
you don't, do you?
You don't know the time. But there is a certain thing to this, and I've always said it. Let a woman be whatever she may be. There's ways of punishing a woman without knocking her about.
I could have punished my first wife by staying married to her.
Yeah, but if you take a woman's body, for instance, and that woman has got more tissues, more organs on her body than a man has got, that could easily cause her to suffer with cancer from a punch. That can cause her to suffer all sorts of things, especially if he's one that uses his feet. But I mean,
so
nobody can stand by. I wouldn't say any man with any love and thought for a woman can stand by and see a man brutally serving a woman the same as him in Brookside, sir.
So never mind any future comebacks, never mind the two of them getting angry at you, stop the violence while it's happening.
That's correct, Ian. It stopped the violence while it's going on, because it could end in death.
Okie dokie then, Eric.
Right.
We'll speak
Love to Joyce and Jackie.
And the world.
And the world and all my lovers, culture lovers.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye. The mighty Eric on Beacon and WABC. It's the Midnight Line. We're talking about domestic violence. What you do if you saw domestic violence occurring before your very eyes. Would you intervene, or would you think, no, thank you, don't want to get involved? And we're also asking if you've had experience of domestic violence to give us a call and to tell us about it. Next on the lines, it's Sarah. Good morning, Sarah.
Hello.
Good morning. This might actually run to the news, so if it does, just bear with us, and we'll pick it up again after the news.
Right.
Sarah, you've heard what everybody else has said.
Well, first of all, I would say I have been through violence myself, and if I had been Sinbad, I would have rung the police straight away. My story is that I suffered with it for 7 years, but not quite as bad as other people have suffered with it. But the problem is, I went as far as court, and the court is more frightening than anything else. I actually stood down at the end. I couldn't take the stand as such. And the man involved actually got 2 years bound over. Because of the frightening effects of that, I couldn't go through with it, so I can understand people chickening out at the last minute as such.
It was the intimidation of the court, was it?
Yeah, it was, the police officers themselves as well. I mean, I actually had to see an inspector first before they would take on the case.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what, Sarah. You hang on there, right? And we'll take the news, and then we'll find out more about your story after the news at 1, okay? So you hang on there, and we'll be back with you. 754-123 in Wolverhampton, 236-235 in Shrewsbury. It's the Midnight Line on Beacon and WABC. We're talking about domestic violence, and I'm pleased to say, folks, that this is a nicotine-free show.
The 1 o'clock news, this is Sarah Lockett. The government's being accused of ignoring warnings of a fire risk at Windsor Castle for over a decade. A confidential report by the Berkshire Fire Service says 12 years of cautions went unheeded. The bill for last November's fire is put at £40 million. The Bosnian Serb Parliament will today meet to consider accepting the Vance-Owen peace plan. Their leader Radovan Karadzic has already signed it, and deputies know if they reject it, military action led by America is inevitable. Here, John Major has met his French counterpart to discuss the war in Bosnia. Nelson Mandela meets John Major later today to call for help in ensuring South Africa's black population gets the vote as soon as possible. The ANC president will address both houses of parliament after his talks with the Prime Minister. He says he expects Britain to do all it can to help South Africa's transition to democracy.
We have never forgotten that Britain is the home of parliamentary democracy. And that is what our efforts are directed at in our country. And it is therefore but natural for us to expect Britain to play even a greater role in trying to assist in normalizing our political situation.
A driver has been stabbed to death by a gang after he refused to allow an oncoming car to pass in a narrow street. Scotland Yard says 3 or 4 men chased 23-year-old Michael Ofo when their cars blocked each other's way in North London. Researchers claim hay fever in Britain has reached epidemic proportions. Professor Robert Davis from the Respiratory Medicine Department of Barts Hospital in London is urging the government to take action. His research shows the problem's worse in cities than the countryside, and he claims that's because of traffic fumes.
It's affecting up to a fifth of the young population in this country. People aged between 10 and 30, 1 in 5 are going to suffer symptoms. Some years are worse than others, and this one could be a very bad year.
Independent Radio News.
Presented by Safeway Windows, Doors and Conservatories, Oxford Street, Bilston.
4909 Bilston 4909.
Yes, well, there was a weather here a moment ago, but I got so excited during the first hour of the show, I ate it. Here we go, cold with clear skies overnight, widespread ground frost, but not as sharp as last night. The low 1 Celsius, 34 degrees Fahrenheit. Later today, long sunny periods, light to moderate easterly winds. Top temperature 16 Celsius, 61 degrees Fahrenheit. Thursday and Friday, dry with sunny periods. The nights will be milder because of low cloud. The temperature now 1 Celsius, 34 degrees Fahrenheit. That's my little weather reader's voice. Good, isn't it? Widespread ground frost. That's how the professionals do it, apparently. Okie dokie, Midnight Line on Beacon and WABC. Talking about domestic violence this morning. Whether or not you have experienced domestic violence, maybe it's happened to you and you want to tell us about it. Or we're also talking about the fact that Sinbad on Brookside looked through a window, saw domestic violence was occurring, and did nothing, repeat, nothing about it. What would you have done? Would you get involved? Now, before we went to the news at 1, we were talking to Sarah. Hello again, Sarah.
Hello.
Hello. Now, you were saying that you'd been subject to domestic violence.
That's right, yeah. For 7 years.
7 years?
Although it wasn't quite as bad as other people, especially her on the TV.
What sort of things were happening to you during these 7 years?
Well, it was after 3, the first one, and I would say to anybody now that if a man can do it once, he can do it twice, and it'll continue. And to stop it, you stop it at the first one. You don't do what I did and carried on for 7 years with it. The problem with my boyfriend at the time was he used to hit me on the head, which didn't mark, and it was only the last straw where he actually marked me that I actually took it further and went to the police.
Doesn't mark you, just gives you brain damage.
Yeah, that's right. But the problem was, you see, I went to the police about it. They convinced me to take it to court, blah, blah, blah. And when I eventually got to court, I was so frightened and intimidated by taking the stand that I didn't take it in the end, so we just got 2 years bound over, which wasn't enough. But, you know, if I went through that situation again, which I wouldn't, I would say to anybody, you know, stop it at the first one. You know, just walk away and go and find yourself another fish in the sea, because they're just not worth it. And that's what I would say.
Is there, do you believe, any occasion where a woman can provoke a normally mild-mannered bloke to hit her? I mean, all the way through tonight we've said, oh, it's the bloke's fault. It's the bloke's fault because he keeps hitting the woman.
Well, that's a difficult one, that is, really, because, to be fair, I'm not the easiest person in the world to live with. And, you know, I'm quite a vindictive person. Once, you know, I get the words that come out of my mouth are quite harsh. But there is no, you know, explanation for a man to hit a woman. You know, I could go around slapping men across the face, and, you know, it's up to them whether they hit me back. But at the end of the day, a man can kill a woman can kill a man, but only if she uses a knife. But a man can kill with his bare hands because he's that strong. And, you know, that poor woman on the TV, that happens day to day. I've seen it happen. But you've got to stop it at the first hit, because a leopard just doesn't change his spots. And they'll just
You've seen it happen?
I've seen it happen, yeah. I've seen it happen to my mother. And, you know, I called the police when I was younger, and because it is domestic, it is a problem because they don't like to get involved. But the only time they will get involved is when there's a dead body, and by then it's too late. So it's up to the woman to stop it before it gets to that stage. I wish I'd have stopped it before I'd got to court.
How would you have stopped it?
Well, you just walk away and you go and find yourself another man. But that's not the easiest thing to do, because, you know, love and all the rest of it. But at the end of the day, you've got to be strong and love yourself more than you love the bloke.
No, I've never had any problems with that.
No, me really.
So you've just got to walk away from it, get away from it. But I mean, it's easy to say, isn't it?
It is very easy, because they say sorry, they cry, and they promise not to do it again, and it will happen again, because once they've done it once, it's like it stems from childhood, I think, because if a child is told not to do something, it'll go and do it again until you tell it firmly not to do it. I mean, I'm sure it stems from them.
See, Psycho Killer, my first wife.
Sorry?
Psycho Killer, my first wife.
Really?
She, as I said before, she came after me once with an axe.
Oh, lovely.
And once she went berserk because I'd left the bedroom window open.
Oh, yeah, well, that's good enough reason, isn't it?
Same for the government man. And she slapped me.
Did she?
Yeah, basically that was it. I mean, I decided at that moment that she was getting divorced.
You see, it is difficult, because, especially if you're married. I mean, I wasn't married to the guy, so, you know.
Do you know what I used to do to her when she was in that mode, when she was in slapping mode?
What did you do?
I used to hold her head at arm's length, and I had a longer reach than she did. And so there were just these arms flailing around, and she got madder and madder and madder. And you just used to keep her there till she tired herself out. It was like trying to deal with a child.
Oh dear.
Yeah, it was pathetic. Anyway, she got divorced, I can tell you.
You see, it is tough when you're in a marriage. I can understand these poor women, but at the end of the day, you've got to stop it before it carries on. You've just got to get away. There's plenty more fish in the sea, for God's sake.
But there aren't many salmon.
That's right.
It doesn't matter how dirty the water is, it always cools to a red hot poker. As my old mammy used to say to me. Why did you put up with it for 7 years then?
Well, I was very insecure. I still am, but you see, the problem is, it's the
It's only
tears.
because everyone hates you. No, they don't. I was just joking. It's a joke. Don't take it personally. Don't go throw yourself under a train just because I said that. Will it get in the papers though, wouldn't it? Yeah. Sorry, go on.
It's the tears and the I'm sorry, you know, it won't happen again. And also, my boyfriend actually got me convinced that it was my fault at one stage. I really did think it was my own fault, because the words that they'd say to you start convincing yourself, and well, maybe it is my fault, you know, maybe I am a bit of a nag, or, you know, perhaps I'm too possessive, you know, perhaps I love this guy too much, or whatever the reason, they do make you think it's your own fault. So you carry on, and that's why I keep saying to you, you've got to stop it at the first one, because it's all over, it really is.
But presumably the reason that people don't stop it at the first one is the same reason that you didn't.
Well, probably.
I know it's real easy. I mean, I accept what you're saying, but I would also think that it's very difficult for somebody within the situation to accept what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because they look at things in a blinkered fashion.
Yeah, true. But, you know, if a man loves you, he's not going to hit you. And that's what you've got to keep telling yourself. Because, I mean, if I was a violent person and I went around hitting men, that wouldn't be acceptable. So why should it be acceptable for a man to hit a woman?
Well, I've been in a situation at places that I've worked where women have come in wearing neck braces. Women have come in with black eyes.
Yeah.
And they've always got this, well, you're never going to believe it, I fell down the stairs. And you know damn well what's going on.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
and what's even worse is if you have a party and they're all there and you can see the guy who's done it.
Yeah.
You can see him. I mean, okay, it's the wrong thing to do, but I tend to be judge and jury in a situation like that. And I want to go and punch the lights out. And the only thing I can do is just leave the room. I just got to get out of there. I just can't.
Yeah, I mean, my problem was that I just got hit over the head numerous times, and there was never a mark, so my friends didn't even believe me, you know, and so you start talking to yourself because you can't talk to your friends because nobody believes you or whatever, and you do convince yourself that it's your own fault, so you just try and get out of the situation the best way you can.
If there'd have been a helpline available to you, would you have phoned it?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But you just felt isolated, you felt on your own?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was in a bedsitter at the time, so, you know, I was dependent on this guy. It was only when I realised that, you know, I was a nice person, I had got friends, and, you know, as soon as it, you know, he marked me, I sort of went to the police and had a chat. Didn't make a formal complaint, and they actually convinced me to make a formal complaint. I then made the formal complaint, and then I had to go and see an inspector who drilled me to the ground to try and make sure I was telling the truth first before they took it any further. And then when I did take it further, you know, I got to the court and that was it for me. I couldn't go any further.
And it just got to you then?
Oh, yeah. You see, the problem was I didn't have a solicitor. I just had the police there on my behalf, and he got a solicitor. So, you know, he kept throwing things at me before we even went into the courtroom. And, you know, it was like my whole world being dragged up in front of everybody, my laundry, you know what I mean? And I couldn't cope with that. So I thought, you know, to hell with it. But he got 2 years bound over, and I've never spoken to him since. I've never seen him. But,
Sorry,
yeah.
it solved the problem.
Sorry?
It solved the problem.
It solved the problem, yeah. But, you know, there's other women out there who are getting battered and just getting on with it. Just, you know, letting it happen. When you should stop it. You're in control of your own destiny, and if I had my time over again, I'd have stopped it at the first one, no problem at all.
Okie dokie. Well, listen, we're glad you sorted out now, Sarah.
Thank you.
And thank you for speaking to us, and thanks for telling us about what happened to you, because it must have been quite difficult to do, because you're a first-time caller as well.
I am, yeah.
And as encouragement to other first-time callers, it's not that hard, really, is it?
No, it isn't.
In fact, quite nice once you get used to it.
Yes, it's a good old laugh, really.
It is, it is. All right, Sarah.
All right, then.
Nice to speak to you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
754-123 in Wolverhampton, 236-235 in Shrewsbury. This is the Midnight Line on Beacon and WABC. It's a no-smoking zone. I don't know if you've noticed how nicer your radio smells since I gave up smoking. That's always right, it does. We're talking about domestic violence. It's 754-123 in Wolverhampton, 236-235 in Shrewsbury, and we'll be back to the lines after this mature ad break, again with a fruity bouquet.
Can't afford a holiday this year? Then come to Holiday Club Pontins. During June, 2 adults can enjoy a 7-night self-catering holiday for just £69 per person, with children under 16 going free. There's plenty of entertainment laid on, including the Crocodile Club for the kids. And you can choose from any one of 8 holiday sites around the country. So come on and treat yourself and the family to a 7-night holiday for just £69 per adult in June. And remember, kids go free. At these prices, places are going fast. For details and bookings, call Holiday Club Pontins now on 0772 621 621 and tell them you heard it on Beacon.
Coming soon to Fox's Nightclub, the Sunday Sport Roadshow, April the 16th, Positive Gang on the 17th, the Sony Music Search with 1FM on the 24th, Civil on the 26th of April, Climax Mail Review on the 30th, Magnum on the 4th of May, and Vanessa Warwick on the 5th of May. Tickets available on the night or call Sonia on Wolverhampton 4545. Fox's, where the nights are hotter.
Deirdre Livins graduated from college with a degree, but she really wanted to be an actress. She enrolled in drama school and applied for a career development loan. This helped her pay for her training, and she didn't have to pay anything back until 3 months after she finished. And how's she doing now? I'm Deirdre Livins, available for voiceovers, pantomimes, commercials...
Seriously, come up with a realistic training idea and we could help. You can borrow between £200 and £5,000 for almost any kind of job-related training course. Written quotations of terms and conditions are available from Barclays, the Cooperative and Clydesdale banks. For a booklet, call free on 0800 585 505 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday to Friday. Take a big step towards training with a career development loan.
Midnight Line on Beacon and WABC. We're talking about domestic violence. Next on the lines, it's Dave. Good morning, Dave.
Good morning.
Good morning. Now, you've got an experience of domestic violence, haven't you? But as a sort of observer.
Well, that's true, yeah. I mean, this occasion happened probably about 3 years ago, when me and the wife were actually sitting at home watching the television at probably about 11 o'clock.
Just minding your own business, watching the telly.
And then all of a sudden, a tremendous ding-dong started next door.
And you could hear it going on?
Oh, we could hear it going on. Then the next thing I knew, the doorbell rang, and I went and answered the door, and the young girl from next door was standing there, and obviously she took a bit of a beating. She sort of rushed through the front door and said, "Please, found the police, found the police."
What sort of state was she in?
Well, you could tell that she was very upset, like, and you could tell that she'd been beaten around the face.
And this was a married couple, was it?
Well, they were actually living together, but they'd got a young child. And she'd obviously dashed out the house, like, from after the beating, like, and she was worried that she'd left the child. Who was, luckily enough, he was still asleep.
So it's a relationship that had been going on a few years?
That's true, yeah. So and he'd obviously been out all day, and he must... She said, like, he'd had a drink. And she said, like, "I want you to phone the police." Well, what I did, I told the wife to make her a cup of tea and try and calm her down, and I says, "I'll go round and have a chat to him." And I sort of went and tapped on the front door, and he opened the front door, and he seemed to be a little... took aback, like, to be confronted by the next door neighbour. And when I could actually, as he opened the front door, I could see in the house, like, and he'd smashed the furniture up and thrown his tea up the wall, and...
So he'd had a right paddy?
He'd had a pap on her, obviously, through something. But my idea of this is I don't think any man should hit a woman because of the obvious difference in strength. I mean, I sort of, like, he said, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean it." And he said, I said, "Well, you shouldn't really be saying this to me, like." I mean, he was sort of, because he'd be confronted by a guy, his attitude, you know, I don't know whether he was sort of...
It's interesting, isn't it, that he immediately assumed that you'd gone round to judge him?
Well, I hadn't gone round to judge him.
No, but he assumed that, didn't he? He started apologising to you.
Well, that's true, yeah.
And justifying himself.
I think he was probably a little bit disgusted with himself as well, for the fact that someone had gone off and all of a sudden, like, one of the neighbours knew about... I mean, some of the others in the street, sort of, if they'd ever been up, like, must have heard what was going on. But it was just his sudden attitude. I thought, Christ, what am I going to walk into, like? I mean, is he going to want to have a go at me?
Yes, is he an axe-wielding homicidal maniac?
Yeah, but I mean, another thing that I thought about, and that the wife said, well, what about the little one? I mean, you never know that once I've given the wife a good kicking. I mean, I've got 2 children of my own, and there's no way I could sort of hurt them, but you don't know what other people are like, especially once they've had a drink. I mean, one guy earlier on tonight said that when he's had a drink, he goes all funny and starts laughing, and you know.
Yeah, he gets happy.
That's right. Well, I'm that same type of person, but you've got the other type of people that sort of want to tear people's heads off.
I've changed. During my early 20s, I was a tear people's heads off type of drunk. But now I'm just happy. I just enjoy it. You know, what's the point?
I think as you get older, like, you sort of start to realise that you can't go around beating everybody. I think a lot of guys in their early years, it was just bravado. You've got to prove yourself.
Yes, I think you're probably right. There was certainly a macho element involved, as far as I was concerned. This coming from a man who now has a ponytail, you know, very macho, that, isn't it? As my mother pointed out at the weekend.
And I'm growing one.
How are you? Oh, you don't get the flack off your mother. I got off mine.
I had enough flack off my dad when I had my earpiece when I was 17.
Oh, I've been there as well. Yeah, you can't win with mothers, can you? My hair's either too short or too long. You know, it's never just right. What did you actually say to him then? When you went round, there he is, he's standing there, he's apologising to you, he said, look, you know, I didn't mean it, or whatever. What did you say to him?
Well, I says, you've wasted your dinner. I tried to defuse the situation by, I don't want him coming on to me. Because if it had come on to me, then I'd have been forced to have had to go back to protect myself as well, like. But I wasn't very pleased with, I'm never very pleased when I hear about a guy giving a woman a good hiding.
Did you call the police?
Oh no, because when I actually calmed him down, like, and he said, I'm sorry, will you tell her to come round and this, that and the other. I said, well, it's pointless telling me that you're sorry, you've got to talk to her. And when I went back round home, like, she'd actually calmed down. Because you were saying earlier on about should you get involved. Now, we could have called the police, and after sort of like an hour, she'd actually calmed down and didn't want the police calling.
And they're on their way? And
that could have been on the way. But, the wife said, before I went round, shall I call the police? And I says, no, let's see if we can calm it first of all. The last thing you want up and down the street, like, is the boys in blue. Especially if you can sort of calm it down. And, after that, I don't think there was any more after that. Everybody has the ding-dongs. I've been married, 14 years. And I don't think anybody gets by without having an argument. It helps to clear the air. But as far as violence goes, it's self-control more than anything as well, I think.
Has anything happened since, or do you believe that was just a one-off?
Well, we moved out the area like about 18 months ago.
I'm not surprised if you can't sit at home at night watching the telly without something like that happening.
I've drove past a couple of times and they still live there, and they're obviously still together. So,
So if we're optimistic about it, we can assume that it was a one-off and that they both learned a lot from the experience.
That's true, but the first lady that you had earlier on said that she'd been beaten up 8 times.
Yes.
And I can't understand why they put up for such a long time, but then again, if she says she loves somebody...
I think it's a variety of reasons. From talking to Julia, it's a variety of things. It was love. It was her own self-esteem being battered until she felt totally worthless without him.
And there's probably no place for them to go. Because they feel that wherever they go, the person's going to find them.
Well, it's like Sarah just said, that she lived in a bedsit at the time that she was being hit, and she needed him. Whether I didn't ask her, I should have done, whether or not that was financially, emotionally, or whatever, but she said she needed him, so there was a dependency there.
A lot of it's financial nowadays, and especially with the joint mortgage system, where, people sort of, especially if they're living together or that they've just got married and they need both wages to pay the mortgage, they sort of put up with it because it's a roof over their head.
So, yeah, I agree. So people are sort of... as we said, dependent on that relationship continuing, whether it be for financial or emotional reasons.
Yeah, what I'm trying to get over more than anything is the way the woman's attitude changed in the space of an hour after she'd sort of had a chance to calm down. First of all, she wanted the police.
Then she didn't.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so that it makes it a little bit difficult to know what to do for the best, really, doesn't it?
And then I can understand the police's point, whereas they don't like to get involved in domestics. Because the herd party can change their mind so fast.
Okie dokie, that's a good point, Dave. And I want, because I asked you specifically to phone me back during an ad break, and you did, and I want to thank you for that.
That's a pleasure.
Okay, mate.
Thanks a lot.
Speak to you soon.
Good night.
Ta-ra.
Bye.
Okay, we'll go back to the lines in a moment. We've got who have we got on the lines? We've got Kath on the lines. We've got Roger. We've got Len. We'll speak to those in a moment. Who else have we got? We've also got Mandy. So if you'd like to join him, 754-123 in Wolverhampton, 236-235 in Shrewsbury. This year's Beacon and WABC Motor Show. A great day out for all the family. And what's really great about it is it's totally free of cost and free of charge. Hello. What's this? Sorry, we get these typed things to read, which is a bit of a waste of time because most of us here can't actually read. That's why they type it, so they don't do it in joined up writing. And it's about the motor show. It's at Himley Hall on Sunday 16th of May. Special guest Michelle Collins, Ron Dixon from Brookside, oh yeah, Princess Diana lookalike, we've got one of those coming along, you can chat her up. Rusty Lee and her band, John Starkey, who you've heard on the Midnight Line. John's going to be there. We're going to get John on the Midnight Line again in the next couple of weeks as well. There's some bands, the Labatt's Formula 1 Simulator. Who cares about the simulator? Just give me the Labatt's, the Fun Fur and the Craft Fur, vintage and classic cars. And there's some motorbike stands as well. Plus Sunday breakfast live from the motor show with Chuck, Mark Hughes from Emmerdale. Oh, I thought I said Mike and Perry. It doesn't. No, you're all right. Mike and Perry, I think, are in the studio that day. I don't know yet. But any old way up, after we finished at 2 o'clock, I'm going to get on my motorcycle, go down to the motor show, and you'll find me on either the two-wheel stand or the street bike stand. Okay, and they're more or less next to each other. So if you want to come and have a deco at the bike and sort of, hey, you know, like talk and stuff, then that's where I'll be after sort of like 2 o'clock on my traffic busting bike. 754-123 in Wolverhampton, 236-235 in Shrewsbury. We'll be back to the lines on domestic violence after this frothy little ad break.
Can't afford a holiday this year? Then come to Holiday Club Pontins. During June, 2 adults can enjoy a 7-night self-catering holiday for just £69 per person, with children under 16 going free. There's plenty of entertainment laid on, including the Crocodile Club for the kids. And you can choose from any one of 8 holiday sites around the country. So come on and treat yourself and the family to a 7-night holiday for just £69 per adult in June. And remember, kids go free. At these prices, places are going fast. For details and bookings, call Holiday Club Pontins now on 0772 621 621 and tell them you heard it on Beacon.
Coming soon to Fox's Nightclub, the Sunday Sport Roadshow, April the 16th. Positive Gang on the 17th. The Sony Music Search with 1FM on the 24th. Civil on the 26th of April. Climax Mail Review on the 30th. Magnum on the 4th of May. And Vanessa Warwick on the 5th of May. Tickets available on the night or call Sonia on Wolverhampton 4545. Fox's, where the nights are hotter. Following the phenomenal reaction to our Crazy For You competition last week, when you may recall Gareth Leeds won the all-inclusive London theatre trip to go and see the new Broadway smash hit Crazy For You, we've done something rather special. We've joined forces with the producers of the show and all those Theatreland people to bring you a really superb offer. We are talking about a fantastic weekend package which comprises top price theatre ticket, luxury executive coach travel, 3 to 4-star central London hotel accommodation, guided sightseeing tour of London. This superb package is offered to Beacon Radio listeners at just £96.50. For further details on this fantastic offer, please call 0902 757 211.
Beacon Radio. Midnight Line on Beacon and WABC. I love that line in that last hour that said, we've joined forces to get together with all these theatre. And I thought they were going to say lovies, but they didn't. They said people. Never mind. Domestic violence, that's our subject this morning on Beacon and WABC's Midnight Line. And next on the lines, it's, my accent's gone a bit funny because I went up to Southport after weekendly. And oh, yes. These pinball machines in arcades, because I like me pinball. Hey, Adam's Family I found in Southport, one of the arcades. And who's on the high scoreboard then? Hey, who do you think, Kath? Who's on the high scoreboard of the Addams Family pinball machine?
I haven't got a clue.
Try you, Ian.
Pardon?
Try you, Ian.
You, Ian?
Yes, absolutely right. How amazing, yeah.
How did you?
Oh, it was only a mere 157 million, that was all.
How did I know?
Well, I was just wondering, but you did, and that's fantastic. Now then, Kath, domestic violence, have you experienced it, or...?
No, my God, no, I would not have. Do you know, I'm only giving you my opinion.
That's what we want, Kath.
Well, that's it. I think a man treats a woman how she wants to be treated. And I just can't think of any other reason. But...
What, you mean...
I've lost my husband now, but I was married to him 40 years more.
You think that some women like to be dominated?
Yes. I say, mine... Well, I don't know whether he would have... He wasn't a mamby-pamby, and he was an only child. But he never, ever abused me in any way, neither verbally or any other way. He was a lovely husband. Sorry, I lost him. But I do think that a man treats a woman how she wants to be treated. You're a man. They know what you want. I don't care who it is. I'm sure I'm right that a man treats a woman how she wants to be treated. And mine always treated me with great reverence.
But I don't see how some women... I mean, I accept that some women like to be dominated. And I don't necessarily mean... I don't mean you get the chains out on a Friday night, and the whips and all that.
No.
What I mean is that some women like need a strong man.
I suppose so,
A strong-minded man who takes all the decisions and you just sit back there...
Takes all sorts too, doesn't he?
Yeah, and other women wouldn't live with that for more than 30 seconds because they want to be equal partners in a relationship. It's horses for courses. But I don't actually think that anybody would actually want to be beaten.
Oh, no.
Well, not unless they were with Lindy St. Clair.
I didn't actually mean that they wanted to be beaten. But I just say that they treat them how a man treats a woman how she wants to be treated. And if she allows him to treat her otherwise, well, I think the woman's to blame.
Well, do you think that in a situation where it spills over into violence, it's down to the woman to start looking
Call a halt, yes.
To start looking at things through, as we said before, rose-tinted glasses, and to say, right, that's
enough. But to say I would, well, I never had to endure it. But I would never have stayed with a man. I wouldn't stay with a man who beat me at all. He'd either have to go, I should show him the door and send him back to his mother or whoever. And I would have lived on my own. Perhaps I'm a strong personality, I don't know.
So, well, you've heard, I mean, we've talked to quite a few women tonight who said, they've told us about their experiences.
Yeah.
And it seems that they're just getting meshed in it, and for one reason or another there's a psychological or financial or some dependency there that means that they can't get out.
Well, I do, probably, but I can't, in my opinion, the man doesn't really love them, otherwise I don't think he'd do it. I just feel strongly about that.
A man doesn't love them, otherwise he wouldn't do it. No, I think, personally, I think I agree with you. I think.
Yeah.
Probably. You don't...